I'm Alexi Janulius. I was inspired to enter public service by my friend and basketball buddy, this president. But after this president tried to overturn the last election, we have to make it easier to register and vote. When I played pro ball, we practiced to make the game easier. When I'm Secretary of State, I'll do the same. We'll never let anyone stop you from casting your vote.
Troubling details in a new Target 3 investigation. Tonight, one of the Democrats running to replace Jesse White now facing accusations for fostering a, quote, culture of corruption.
Chicago City Clerk Anna Valencia hit the campaign trail in Peoria today. If she wins, she'd oversee the office that enforces transparency laws for lobbyists. Our Capitol Bureau Chief Mark Maxwell joins us live in Springfield.
Mac, Raymond Cosme is a lobbyist who specializes in public-private partnerships. That term might be a description for his marriage to Anna Valencia. She holds public office. He courts private companies, and together they lobby government officials to benefit his clients. That's according to emails, text messages, contracts, and government documents obtained under the Freedom of Information Act.
My husband and I have separate careers, and I'm very supportive of his.
Chicago City Clerk Anna Valencia hired an attorney to sift through and slowly release emails she sent from her personal account conducting official business.
I'm fully transparent, open. I've released hundreds of emails. We'll continue to do so. I've released all my personal texts and emails, and we'll continue to do so.
We asked her in January, why not release them all?
Look, this is a fishing expedition. They're just trying to fish for something. These emails pretty much are a lot about scheduling with my husband, who's making dinner.
Those emails, text messages, and contracts we obtained show she spent much of her time in office focused on projects that her husband was also working on as a lobbyist and consultant.
As City Clerk of Chicago, I created the very first municipal ID card.
On the campaign trail, now running for Secretary of State, Valencia promises to expand a program she brought to the city of Chicago.
We need to make sure we have an expert and someone that's already done these processes managing this money.
She's promoting a smart government ID card that, among other things, offers discounts for voters.
The city key started for access to identification. So it is not only a government ID, but it's also a library card, a CTA transit card, a prescription discount card, and a business discount card.
MasterCard runs a similar City Key program, and MasterCard partners with Valencia's husband at Ignite Cities, where he's the managing director. While Valencia was in office, her husband's business partner, George Burciaga, lobbied to expand smart IDs to the city of New Orleans. Competitors there accused his company of rigging contracts. The city dismissed that complaint, but emails show Burciaga and MasterCard were involved in talks about setting up a City Key program there.
I first want to thank the mayor of Chicago.
Other emails show Valencia lobbied Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, asking her to review an investment plan she and the head of the Illinois Medical District put together. Contracts we obtained show her husband signed a deal to profit on that plan, and his company was partnering with advertisers to sell space on digital kiosks. The medical district would get part of that revenue, and his firm would get the rest.
I've always shown up to make sure that our communities have opportunity, especially economic opportunity and mobility, because they've been disinvested for years. And so that's something I'm going to continue to do.
Hundreds of pages of emails and text messages show other troubling instances where Valencia's office advised her, don't use your official government logo. She insisted we do want to use it. Or in other cases, they would discuss these development projects or give simply a publicity boost to her husband's clients. Once we started asking questions, Valencia's husband updated his lobbyist registration to disclose he sits on a state board and the Illinois Medical District. Told us they are no longer pursuing installing those digital kiosks that were outlined in that contract. He's now, by the way, pitching a similar ad revenue sharing deal to the Chicago Park District. Reporting in Springfield, Mark Maxwell, WCIE3, your local news leader.
All right, Mark, thank you so much.
A developing story now, new fallout in the ongoing controversy over Secretary of State candidate Anna Valencia and her husband's work as a lobbyist. Political reporter Marianne Aher joins us now with the update. Marianne?
Kate, questions have developed over how City Clerk Anna Valencia promoted her husband Riyad Cosme's work in securing contracts in Chicago and other cities.
According to the best of my
The intersection between City Clerk Anna Valencia and her husband Riyad Cosme's businesses reveals how Valencia played a role as her husband's business partner expanded their work in New Orleans. Their company won the multi-million-dollar New Orleans deal for a smart cities project, Competitors accused them of rigging it. New Orleans officials denied that was true. However, just yesterday, the New Orleans City Council president sent subpoenas demanding documents, including all communication between Valencia, her husband, and his partner about the contract. In a statement, Valencia's campaign manager denies Valencia made any introductions and says, quote, New Orleans officials reached out to her to find out more about the Chicago City Key program. Valencia faces two Democratic opponents, Alexi Janulius and Alderman David Moore.
To use the city letterhead to help elevate it, that's an ethical problem. And character and integrity is when people are not watching.
Here in Chicago, there are also emails and text messages that show Valencia was involved in promoting a similar smart city development that her husband secured a contract for in the Illinois Medical District. Her husband's company might have profited up to $15 million in advertising revenue, according to published reports, but the medical district deal was recently canceled. Valencia is also promising that, quote, my husband will not conduct any business for clients before the state of Illinois if she becomes the next Secretary of State. 2 years ago, Cosme lobbied the Secretary of State and the Secretary of State office. He currently lobbies 11 different state agencies.
As Secretary of State, we deal with ethics and we deal with lobbyists. And so to have the highest ethical standard that we have to have as the Secretary of State, you have to show it now.
And whomever is the next Secretary of State will oversee those lobbyists and their registration. Marianne Ahern, NBC5 News.
There has to be democratic unity across the board in all the states in America, and especially in the state of Illinois. And I say that democratic unity in the name of anti-voter suppression. Here in Illinois, we have where the Republican Party and its financee or financier is the same individual that financed the former governor before J.B. Pritzker was elected to be our governor. And that's Ronner. And we know what has become known as the Ronner curse on Illinois, which was he didn't have a budget for 2 years. And the people of Illinois, to help eradicate that curse, elected J.B. Pritzker governor. I know I was instrumental in helping him get elected. Now they have this guy that they're pushing, Mr. Irvin, a Democrat that flipped Republican. And he comes on the air and he says he's the nightmare. When people see him for what he is, they see his people that's behind him, that's moving him like a puppet, are the same individuals from those that's getting the money for him and those that's managing his campaign as being the same individuals that were behind Ronner. And when you close your eyes and you hear him speak, you see Ronner. And when you open your eyes, you see a black face. Close your eyes, you see Ronner. Same policies, the same thing. And then when he said he's the nightmare, we can't afford a nightmare, which would be a Republican getting elected to become governor of the state of Illinois. Then the Democratic primary in reference to the election of the Secretary of State, Illinois Secretary of State race, because the great Secretary of State, Jesse White, made a decision not to run again. There was 3 candidates that was in the race. That's 17th Ward, David Moore, former treasurer, Illinois treasurer, Alexi Janulius, and city clerk, Anna Valencia. Hope I'm pronouncing her name correct. The Cook County Democratic Party made a decision to endorse Alexi Janulius. They also made a decision to endorse J.B. Pritzker. The Democratic parties across the state are the ones that vet the various candidates that's running for the various offices. We just talking about 2, the governor's office and the Secretary of State. In the media that you have seen is where the city clerk and her husband has been found to be doing some unethical, possibly illegal activity. And it's not just here, it's in New Orleans, and the news media has brought it out. And I'm gonna let you see what I'm talking about on that. But her actions and their activities can bring down, in my opinion, in my belief, the Democratic Party into a rabbit hole that's so deep that it would be hard for them to get out of it, and the Republicans will be able to elect a Republican governor and Republican Secretary of State. And I say that because she was endorsed by some very honorable elected officials, in my opinion, in my belief. That's U.S. Senator Durbin, the same one that was the chairman of the Senate, U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee. That was one of the powers that helped get us the first black woman on the Supreme Court, Ms. Jackson, Justice Jackson. The Secretary of State's endorsement, Jesse White's endorsement, and that's powerful and that's meaningful. And she's running for the Secretary of State's office. And the wrong that she was doing as the clerk of the city, she said she's gonna bring them same programs to the Secretary of State's office. Then we find out what she's doing is very nefarious, unethical, and could be possibly illegal. And she has the governor's endorsement. And I'm saying this, that's why I say the Democratic Party got to stop the bleeding, because she brought this on herself. Has to stop the bleeding, unite behind the slated candidates for the office of governor and the office of the Secretary of State so that we don't have another nightmare, and that is a Republican becoming the Secretary of State of Illinois. And I'm saying this, I am of the opinion and belief that they were not aware of what Anna Valencia was doing and her husband were doing when they endorsed her. And it's as if they were hoodwinked. And they have a right to say behind what they just found out, because now the whole state of Illinois know, the city of New Orleans know, and I'm sure the state of Louisiana knows. They have a justifiable right to say, hey, look, we're not saying you're guilty of doing anything wrong, but what's being shown publicly and what's being said out of her mouth, they have a right to no longer endorse Anna to become the next Secretary of State, nor should she receive their support to be the next Secretary of State because of the wrong that she and her husband is beyond allegedly have done. They got documented facts. And with that, I want to say, that's why we can't let this blue state turn blue, because if it do, what's happening in the other 19 states that has either a Republican governor or Republican legislative body, they believe in voter suppression, and because they are a part of the Trump Republican Party, they trying to eradicate democracy. So it's time to brush our shoulders off, come back united, purposely focused on making sure we don't have two nightmares in Illinois. Because I guarantee you, if the Republicans get elected governor, get elected Secretary of State, we're going to have the resurrection of the Rauner's curse on Illinois. And with that, I'm going to say to God be the glory. Get registered, get motivated, get educated, and come out and vote June 28th, 2022, or make sure that you vote blue all the way through 2022.
I'm Richard Irvin. When I ran for mayor, Mike Madigan campaigned against me. I beat him. Now Governor Pritzker's afraid that I'll beat him too. There's nothing the left fears more than Republicans who look like me and think like us. That all lives matter. That cops should be defended, not defunded. That handouts keep people down. But maybe that's what liberal politicians want. I'm Richard Irvin, and I'm their worst nightmare.